Hey, I'm Katy Spaas, and I'm a world-renowned author and speaker on high sensitivity and a retired coach to professional artists and performers. Spotlight Stress is your guide to build confidence, find your superpower, and claim your shine. Our guest today is Rachael Ferrera, and she is a Broadway award-winning actress. You can find her on Netflix in the show Family Reunion, and she's also a life guide and a transformational speaker. So we are in for a treat today. Hi, Rachael. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
We've had a little chat earlier, and I must say, I really like your energy. And you were sharing a little bit about the role you played in The Lost, where you got the award for. And you were telling me how you had to shift from playing different roles. You were playing a young girl, you were playing addicted an addicted woman, you were playing a gay boy. So how interesting, you know? I think first of all, wow, how, where did you get the inspiration to play all those roles? Because, you're not a gay boy in life. You're not,
Right.
you're probably not a drug addict. So, so interesting. Where did you get the inspiration to connect with those roles to really embody them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have to shout out the playwright for this because he's amazing and also one of my best friends, like one of my longtime best friends. So it was very cool working on this with him. His name is Keeley Gibson, and like highly suggest you follow his career because it's taking off. He's amazing. So it was his vision really to create this essentially, it's like a split track where the main character that I played in that play, her name was Jermaine, and she was a 16-year-old girl in Harlem. The show was like a coming of age story of this 16-year-old boy who's discovering he's gay, and figuring it out, and I'm his girlfriend in
Oh
the play.
gosh.
Right. Yeah. So it's just like very interesting. So that was my main role, was Jermaine, who I adore. And then at the beginning of the play, like you said, I played a drug addicted, crack addicted mother of him, the boy, the lead character. And I was giving him up. I essentially left him at a bus stop because I knew, and it was an act of love. Actually, what I discovered as I moved through, essentially it was like an opening monologue to the show, is me leaving him. And I'm like getting chills thinking about it and remembering it, because what I really had to find in this character was that what she did, while from the outside we would look at this as like, oh my God, you abandoned your child, right? From her perspective and inside of her, this was the most loving, caring thing she could possibly do for this being that she loved more than anything. She knew that she couldn't take care of him, that she would fail him, and this was the only way that she knew how to, this was the best way of loving him. So that's what I had to really find inside of her, and find the humanity of her, and find the struggle in her, right? Because it actually, I think, what I found is it would have been more of a selfish act to keep him than to let him go. And of course, the way that happened, leaving him at a bus stop, maybe it's not ideal, but for her, it was the only way she could do it. And it was kind of, I have to do this now in whatever way I can, so that I can allow myself to let you go and have a life where you thrive. So that was kind of like really interesting, connecting to that character.
I
And
can
then
imagine that feels very heavy when you have to, you know, get it up. I have two little children. I can't even start thinking about having to do that.
yeah.
So how do you make that lighter for yourself to not stay stuck with those emotions?
That's a great question. I feel like, well, to not stay stuck in them was kind of built into the show because in 5 more minutes, then I had to appear as Jermaine, the 16-year-old, kind of like very carefree, like Harlem girl, right? So I had to really create that bridge. And essentially, I feel like it was a channeling of the, because it's interesting because it could feel heavy. It could feel heavy, but I didn't necessarily feel it as heavy inside of me. It was more like conflict inside of me, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I don't know that I took on weight as much as like conflict, the same way that I've felt in my own life, that I'm sure you've felt in your own life, that when there's like that ambivalence, there's a push and pull. And yes, a bit of weight because of the actual like drug addiction and but that also is a pull. It's like that has a hold on me, right? And so I think my letting go of that in the character quickly so that I could come on as another character was about releasing the holds that are on that character, releasing the conflict, releasing the push pull, releasing the I really am feeling it. I feel it as a pull in my body of addiction, right? Which comes from something deep within that is broken, hurt, needing to be healed, just something like that, right? And so releasing the hold of that is what I feel allowed me to not stay stuck in that character, but allowed it to be very alive in me. It's almost like plugging certain circuits in so that I could be in that space truly and authentically, and then just unplug them, allow the energy to to flow freely, and then move into Jermaine, who was more like me, but more like just Rachel, the essence, but in wildly different circumstances, which is, most of the characters we play, we have to find that.
Yeah.
But it was like me. I could feel like her essence, her heart was very much like I am, but I'm very open, very expressed, I will share with you what I think and feel. If I'm hurt, I'll tell you. I'll do my best to tell you. I will allow myself to be vulnerable. Whereas with her, with the circumstances that she grew up in, that wasn't going to work for her. That wasn't really possible at this time in her life. So if vulnerability came up, instead of opening, it was a wall. Right. So again, like with her, it's like the circuits, it wasn't so much circuits, but it's like putting up that wall so that everything in me flows in it as it normally does, except there's a gigantic wall where there would be vulnerability. And that affects every single thing that this character does. It affects the way she relates with every person in her life, right? Yeah.
And that's really interesting because I was telling my mom the other day that as a child I read this book about was for a book report, and it was about a girl who was addicted to heroin, the really heavy drugs. And it really took me, I'm very visual. So, being highly sensitive, it means that we can really feel what we're seeing or reading or hearing, even. So I said to my mom, it's interesting because it is like I already had that experience through her. It's like I was always too afraid to try, hard drugs or anything, because I had lived that her story, and I did not want to be in that space myself. So I thought that was really interesting how that impacted my life, because I know a lot of people who did drugs, but it's something that never, happened for me. I never wanted to a personal thing, but is that something that, you feel like, I've had all these walls of this is something I want to do different in my own life? And is that something you are aware of and consciously thinking about in your day-to-day life as well?
Yeah, I think so. And it's interesting just hearing you say that. And I think playing Jermaine really did help me to actually open up even more, because what I did feel was different about me and this character, like I said, was like I would be more vulnerable, she would have up a wall. But it's very interesting because putting up that wall and feeling myself as her navigate around that to live her life, I recognized then anywhere in my Rachel's life where I was doing that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it like actually had the opposite effect. It didn't make me put up a wall more. It made me break down the walls. It made me recognize. It made me have the awareness of the walls
Yeah.
that were in my life, and allowed me to let them down even more, let them down even more. And it is something that I think about because a lot in my life, because I feel like everything that we desire in our life to move forward, the fastest way is from a place of truth and authenticity, right? And so when we have up those walls, when I have up those walls, it's blocking some bit of my truth and my authenticity. It's like I'm seeing it as like a spark that doesn't get to run the circuit, like run its full course, right? So it can't build the momentum of the energy that it needs to move us forward. And that's just about us living in our truth, right? So the more that I can live in my truth in every moment, be honest with myself, because what's interesting is when the wall is blocking me from seeing me, right? Like it's blocking me from seeing me. And that comes up when someone says something and I feel triggered, right? Or I feel like I'm taking this very personally, which luckily now does not happen very often, but I'm still a human. It happens sometimes. And now it's, instead of going, oh, this person did this to me, this person said this to me, or why don't they see me? Why don't they see me the way that I want to be seen? Whatever, right? In this industry, like, it's like, okay, well, I'm having a feeling about this and it's strong. That's interesting. Why don't I observe that and see what is that feeling trying to tell me? What is underneath that feeling? Oh, I'm upset. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. Oh, it's hurt actually. Oh, I'm hurt. I feel hurt. I feel unseen. Oh, okay. Okay. I feel unseen. What do I need? Not from anyone else. How can I see me? Right? So it's like, it's something I think about all the time, breaking down those walls so that I can be as truthful and loving to myself as possible.
Yeah, and I think that you put it very beautifully because it's all there, and when you know what it is that you need, the essence of what you need. I always think it's really important when I talk to a client that, we don't stay stuck in the why, because very often we're like, why is this happening? Or what do I need to learn from this? Oh, I've been stuck in that same story for years. But the problem is we're just staying in the same low vibration. And it is so interesting to just have a very honest look at the pain that you're feeling, and to see what is going on and what do I actually need, like you say, and then give it to yourself. It's all there. It's so easy to focus your entire attention, love, energy on the emotion or vibration that you need, and to just raise your energy again. And sometimes things can come in and really hurt, because we're still people. I think very often there's this I don't know the word in English, but it's misconception. Yeah, the misconception that when you're a coach, for example, that you've got your life all worked out, and things are a lot easier. If the stuff that I went through these past months, if I had to do that 5 to 10 years ago, I mean, my life would be upside down. And now it's just like, fuck, it's storming out here, and it's up to me to keep my balance, to stay steady, to breathe. I can see you breathe. Yeah, to breathe, and to just find my strength and the love, and to keep connecting with, making it. To me, it's like I want to make this my heaven on earth, and I want to do that every day, storm or sun. It doesn't matter, and to just embody that as often as I possibly can. Yeah. And it is okay when things blow you off your feet for a moment and you need to pick yourself back up. We need to do that as well because we are human. But there's a difference between reacting to things or to be that strong core that is already, there. And it's like the tree, a strong tree. You don't just blow away a tree. You have to put some effort into that.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how those things affect us in life and the impact we have ourselves on every situation that happens to us. I mean, most situations that happen to us. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I love what you're saying because it's just what I really think about a lot and like to remind people of. It's just exactly what you're saying. Like our external circumstances do not have to determine our internal experience at all, right? And it's okay. Like you said, I feel like, and I'm so glad you brought up this idea of like the misconception of coaches or guides or whatever. And I try my best to be like, don't put me on any kind of pedestal, right? Because of the work I'm doing. I'm still a human. And yes, I have a lot of tools and also life happens. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes I bend, right? I think of a palm tree, it'll like bend, but it won't break, right? And it's like, I think that when we cultivate the practices that allow us to find more of that centeredness that you're talking about, what happens, the difference is, okay, how far does it blow us off course? Probably way less than before.
Yeah.
And how long does it take us to get back to center? Probably way faster than before. So the idea isn't that we become like some rigid robot and we're completely unaffected by life. That's not going to happen and probably wouldn't be very fun because, sometimes the things that are happening in life and the things we have to move through and feel and then get through, those are the things that help us to grow. Those are the things that help us to evolve, right? To find like that next level inside of ourselves and then that next level in life or our career or whatever. So I think it's about that. It's like, okay, yes, we do have the power and also sometimes we'll be affected, but let's get the tools so we get back to center as quickly as possible and keep moving forward. It's like, I love everything that you're sharing.
Yeah. I recently had a situation where something was going to come to me. Yeah. And then very abruptly, a person in my family said, you know what, it's not going to happen. So it's difficult because a lot of things that were already being put in motion, there were no means to fund them anymore because of, what was normally going to happen. So that like crushed me for a minute because you do have a lot of responsibilities. But then I thought, you know what, this is so interesting because this is exactly what I needed to grow again. This is exactly what is going to light my fire, be the pepper in my ass. That's what we say it in Belgium. It's a pepper in my ass, so that you can light on fire again. And when you are in a place of necessity and urgency, it creates a very strong energy and drive. And I've noticed that for me, that works like a charm. And already ideas have been flowing in, and already things have been put into motion. And then when you can lean in that trust and that surrender, then it's just like, wow, this was actually exactly what I needed to move forward in a place where I was a little bit stuck. So it's interesting to see how sometimes things that hurt us, and possibly in different ways, because to me that was financially, but also emotionally, and I thought that's interesting because now it is giving me the chance to really step into my full potential again and to really own my own power. And it's so nice once you're in that spot. It's like you say, it's not about being rigid. We can move with the wind, and we can have leaves falling off because we're hurting.
Yeah.
But it's about finding that center again so much faster, and then using it as a catalyst to move forward even stronger than before. And I think that's so interesting, the way that things are becoming a gift in life that beforehand we would have experienced as like huge struggle, right?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like, it's like next level, right? Is when you start to actually see the challenges in your life as a gift,
Yeah.
even before you know why it's a gift. It's like when something's happening, starting to relate to it from a place of, okay, I don't know. I don't know why this is happening, right? It's like, we don't need to sit there being like, why is this happening? Okay. We
Yes.
can say, I don't know why this is happening, but I am so grateful for wherever this is leading me. I'm so grateful for the gift and the growth and the lessons that I know are coming out of this. And it's amazing because when we can find, life is working for us. It's always working for us, period, full stop, right? So if we can accept that and learn to trust that and lean into it and start going, I am so grateful for the gift of this, even though it's not what I would have, not what I think I would have preferred. And we get into that space of gratitude. Gratitude is such a high vibration that that's when it starts to do kind of what you were saying, right? Ideas start to come, opportunities start to flow in, solutions start to come in that would have never been on our radar, sometimes like magic, right? Like seemingly magic, because we get ourselves into a high vibrational space. We're in alignment with the universe when we see a challenge and go, oh, interesting. I think when you were sharing your story, you said, oh, this is interesting, right? Oh, this is interesting. That's actually a great place to be. Oh, this is interesting. I wonder what is coming out of this. That space of curiosity. Curiosity is also high vibration. Curiosity is great. You can take the curiosity and let it lead you to the gratitude, right? And so we're in alignment with the universe when we go into those spaces, because we are with it, seeing that it is in fact working for us, even if in our very limited perspective of the world and universe, we do not understand why or how this could possibly be helpful to us. We can still go, you know what? I know it is. So I'm just going to be in the space of this is actually working out. Divine order, divine order, divine order. All is well.
Yes. Yes. Love it. Preach, sister. I think these are things we can talk about all day, because I think, to be honest, it has enriched our lives, like to a degree where you get to see that the most important thing in life is not money, it's not time, it's quality of life. And that is something that we get to choose, and I think that's really cool to see how strong we are and how much power we have in our own lives. And I think that a lot of people missed out on that sometimes, thinking, oh, I am this way, or, society is that way. I'm so sorry that, you feel that, but that's bullshit, because you are who you choose to be. And yes, there may be karma, and yes, there may be shit from your parents. It made you who you are. Be so grateful of who you are, so that you get to get stronger out of it and move forward from here. And I think that's where the power lies. That's where we get to create whatever we want in life.
100%.
Yeah.
We can't control the programming that we received as we were growing up. We can't control that. Like, we couldn't control what we got from our parents or society, the conditioning, the programming that might not actually be the most helpful, but we can control the reprogramming. We can decide what practices do we have in our lives? What are the beliefs that we are cultivating in our lives to create our new reality? Because we have complete power and control over that. 100%.
Yeah, love that. There was another question I wanted to ask you, because you were sharing how in the lost you were constantly going from one role to another. And I think what we see today in everyday life, that, we constantly have to shift, like in my case, from being a mother to being a real estate not agent, but I have real estate, so that's things where your attention go. A family person, a friend, a lover, a wife, a woman, me, a horse girl who likes to spend time outside, and still be that businesswoman as well, and still be that conscious light worker as well. And there's so many things we have to shift in between. And I'm especially not mentioning housewife, because I hate to do the housework. So I give that with a lot of love to someone who does love to do those things. So that's not on my list. But all those things, and we do constantly have to shift, because life goes super fast today, faster than ever, I think. Even after COVID, things are starting to move again. And then you can see that a lot of highly sensitive people really found a lot of peace. Not all, but who were in a good situation, they found a lot of peace because there were less obligations. There was less stress, less stimulation from all sides, which gave them a lot of ways to find peace and calm again. But life is starting to move again, which we're very grateful for. So it means that we have to start shifting again from one thing to another. Especially the high achievers I work with, it's constantly like tuck, tuck, tuck from this to that. This is something in a role where you had to do that and really embody that to the extreme in a very short amount of time. So do you have like any tips on that? What would help us in everyday life that you've learned in playing those roles?
Yeah. So what I was listening to you, and what it was making me think about was when I was playing those roles and kind of crafting the journey of that show for myself. And it was like it was also a very fast-paced show, like you're saying. Like it was also fast-paced, and I was on stage pretty much the whole time, basically. So it did require that all to happen very quickly. And one of the things that helped me was I think I started to find a through line. What was actually the through line, the thread that connected all three of these very wildly different characters? What was the through line there? And letting myself kind of ride that all the way through, and allowing that's like the heart. And then these are different expressions of that, right? So that's what I found in playing the role. And I was thinking, I'm like, this is literally exactly what can help us in our lives as well, is finding the through line. So I totally resonate with that shifting of roles in life, right? Because if we're talking things that I do in the world, right? I'm an actor, I'm a singer, I'm a spoken word poet, I'm a life guide, I'm an energy healer, I'm a transformational speaker, and on and on and on. And right. And that's only like the professional things, right? Why? Not a wife, a girlfriend, daughter, friend, all of those things. And so what I have really been thinking about, especially in the last couple of years, because especially if you are a high achiever and maybe a multi-hyphenate of some kind in the world, it can get a little crazy. It can feel a little chaotic, or like you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, or like you're putting your energy in all these different places. But what I've been really working on in the last couple of years is finding the intersection of all of the things that I do in the world, all of the parts of me, all the things I do, finding the intersection. And yeah, finding that through line, what I am finding is the through line is purpose. The through line is the purpose. So if you can get down to like, what is your mission here? What is your mission here in this lifetime? What is your purpose here for this life? And start to recognize how all these different roles that you're playing actually are contributing to the same purpose, right? So I listed kind of the things that I do in the world, but what I have discovered is that all of it is about me helping to raise the vibration of the planet by embodying as much as I can and then sharing the message of love, empowerment, oneness. And this happens through my art, through healing, and through me speaking or sharing my voice. And that is actually the one thing that I am doing in this lifetime. And it expresses in many different ways. And I think all of us have a version of that, right? And it might be it's love, it's sharing, it's kindness, it's whatever it is for you. It's like, what is that purpose underneath it all? What is that big why? And then that fuels everything. And I bet that as I continue to live my life, probably more things will be added on the list of things I do, because it doesn't matter. It's actually one thing just expressing however it wants to, just like those roles. One essence, which is why the playwright Kile, if you look at it, he wrote it that way. There is a through line in these characters. If you look, if you know where to look, there's a reason the same actor plays these three characters. There's a reason for that. And so my job as the actor was to find that reason and then allow that essence to express in different forms. Same thing in life.
Love it. Love it. So actually, bottom line is find your essence.
Yep.
And I really like that, because what I see sometimes when I start working with someone, they share like, I think I have trouble finding balance between work and private life, for example. Especially the people who are living a life in the spotlight. It's not always easy to juggle those balls. But when you always get back to that essence, to me, it's like, okay, who do you want to be? Who are you? And just that is what you bring everywhere to the party, To me, it's just, I'm me. This is my heaven on earth. And it doesn't matter if that means being a family person, being, a coach for the artists, doing my real estate, being a wife, being a mother. This is always my essence.
Absolutely.
To live my best life. And if you always bring that into the equation, then I think, what's the problem? There is no disbalance, because you're already doing this. You're already being that person that you want to be. And then you will see that there is always harmony if you do it that way.
Absolutely. And then moving forward, it allows you, it's like a really wonderful barometer for decision making, right? So, especially when you are working at very high tiers, there can be a lot asked of you from many different directions. And that's one of the things that I think isn't talked about kind of on the way up, but is very real. A very real thing to deal with is like, oh, actually now there are all of these opportunities, and do you actually want to say yes to them? And actually, which ones are the ones that you do say yes to? And if you have, I feel like the tendency a lot of times, if there isn't this like internal grounding already built in, the tendency is to try to make those decisions almost from a place, like an external place. So from a list of pros and cons, or, what the industry thinks you should do, like that's the kind of thinking. But that actually isn't the best way, in my opinion, and from what I have seen, in my own life and in working with clients, like in friends, it's when it works whenever we understand who we are, our essence, our purpose, and then we go, oh, okay, so does this actually align with me and what I'm wanting to do in the world, or what I'm wanting to create in the world? So it becomes much easier to make these decisions. And also when you have that clarity of the essence, of the mission, of the purpose, I feel like it creates a greater sense of trust in yourself too, right? So you can trust that if there is an opportunity that looks bright and shiny and your body is like, no, like your body is contracting, thinking about it, your body, you can trust that that's correct for you, and that your path is going to unfold exactly as it's meant to. Same thing with something that's like, that looks kind of, on paper, this looks maybe kind of average. It looks kind of average, but something inside of me, like every part of my being, is lighting up looking at this.
Yeah.
Yes, you can trust, like, that's a yes, because you're clear on what you're doing in the world and why.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that is how you will create your dream life, by doing these things from the inside out. Thank you so much, Rachel. You've been such a blessing today. You've shared so many insights, and beautiful. Just you're such a beautiful soul. And thank you for spending your time with us today. And I do hope that we get to see each other soon again.
Absolutely. Thank you. This was wonderful.